Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. I have a repeat guest today. And if you are watching us on YouTube, which I highly recommend so you can see the beautiful new studio that we are recording at in Austin, Podcast Studio Austin. But I have a repeat guest, and it is my husband. Welcome, Nathan, back to the show.
Thanks. I didn't know if I was going to get to come back again.
Yeah,
I felt like I did pretty good. Like I didn't interrupt too much.
You did. You interrupted. It's okay.
I listened to it again. I don't know if that would be the case, but
somebody left a comment on Spotify that basically referencing like, how about you not interrupt her on her own show or something like that. It was pretty funny. I don't remember, but
I think it'd be great if the husband would keep interrupting her so she could finish her sentence.
Something like that. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It was funny. That kind of shit doesn't bother me at all. So anyway, welcome to the show. Besides, we do so much bantering. And most of it is in jest. There's definitely a few times where it's not. And it's funny because the topic we're going to talk about, which is building a retreat venue, there's definitely a few times where it was like, motherfucker. And that's just what happens when you are building a business with your spouse, no matter what. There's
even when they're perfect.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be those times where you just don't see eye to eye. So anyway, our topic is building a retreat venue. We get asked all the time. We get asked even by like Genius members in our Genius group. We get asked by people that we meet that they want to turn either their second property into a retreat venue or at least get retreats at their venue, or they want to buy a piece of property and build a retreat venue. And so I thought it'd be good for us to just talk about how ours started, the journey, what we think we did really well in and where we think we could have done better in. Or mistakes that we've made along the way, because we're really good at telling you what not to do when it comes to building a venue. And so I thought we'd start there.
Yeah. Interesting. This started out by you saying you wanted to you rented a piece of land one time in California and you did an event. You're like, I want my own ranch. And then you said we could move back to Texas after some things went on. And
well, you fast forwarded through a lot of it, which is...
Yeah, I was going to get to the ranch, but yeah.
No, we actually moved to California for a few years because it was like, that's where we're going to build. I have family there, and it just, to me, made sense that retreat, California, that just goes together, in my head. And then we just quickly found, no shade on California, but the logistics, the permits, the battles, we got into a contract and fell out because of a protected species that was absolutely asinine.
Kangaroo rat.
And it wasn't that the species was asinine, it was just their parameters around it. The whole thing just became this big clusterfuck. And we thought, this is a sign that this is not where we're supposed to build. And so we thought, let's go back to Texas.
The greatest state in the world. It's
a much more business-friendly state as far as business is concerned, and taxes, et cetera. But we also have a ton of family in Texas. I actually now at this point have more family in Texas than we do in California to a certain degree. And so anyhow, we moved back to Texas. But you asked me when we were going back, you're like, okay, well, if we could pick anywhere in Texas, where? And again, no shade on Dallas, but I was like, I don't want to go back to Dallas. We'd been there for 10 years before. And I'm like, that's not where I want to go as far as building a retreat center. And you're like, hey, how about the hill country? Because
it's God's country.
His dad lived there. His brother lived there. For the most part, you grew up in the hill country in some form or fashion, right? Yep. And so
we found Retreat Ranch. It was a solid trees, like you couldn't even walk on it.
Yeah,
I tell people all the time when they visit the ranch, I remember tying a ribbon to my belt loop and then using the GPS and walking through the trees, and that's what the bulldozer followed to make roads. And one thing that we did intentionally is we only cleared places that we were going to build on or need and use.
Just necessary.
Yep. And I use your analogy all the time, or your words. It says we want to live with nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I did. It would have been cheaper. So we're going to try to talk about this from our experience, but also just from a business perspective. The first business decision we made was going back to Texas because it made more business sense all the way around.
And it's the greatest state in the world.
And so that just, like, numbers, finances, business plan, it just made more sense. And then the other thing is, you know, it would have been, this is the only thing that probably didn't make as much business sense, but it made sense in the long run. You'll see why. Is it would have been cheaper to just bulldoze the whole fucking property and just build. But we really wanted to, like, create these spaces intentionally and not disrupt the entire property. Like, we wanted to move with the land, work with the land, and not against it. And it was a lot of work to do that, and took a lot longer because you're really having to, like, carve out these spaces, and just, it was very slow going. And it needed to be, though, because when you go to the ranch now, you can feel that you're tucked in nature versus in this wide open, see your neighbor's space.
We were very fortunate, though, in the sense that it happened during COVID, which I know sounds crazy.
No, it was.
But because of our careers, you know, I was on the road every week in 19, just about.
Yeah.
You were on the road quite a bit. And when COVID hit, it kind of like, okay, no more travel. Everything was virtual. Yeah. And so we're able to, you know, it would take, if we had to do what we did today, it would take us probably an extra $4 million and 4 years.
Yep.
And so
we had the time and space, and everybody else had the time and space.
Yeah.
Like, whoever we needed to help us with something, we did. We had the time and space. So right away, though, so you hear we went and looked at the property. We couldn't even see the property. We actually had to drone it and to get a feel for it. But we knew going on it.
You know, but you walked on that property. This is where your kind of intuition thing is a little freaky. But we walked on the property, and we drove. There was one little path, and now this property is almost a mile long, so it's a long piece of property. We drove through it, and when I say drove through it, we got probably halfway through it, maybe. Yeah, and we're talking a lane.
Probably a fourth.
We're talking a lane, like a road, and there's nothing you can see but trees on each side. And then it went left, and it looped around, and it was just the front half.
You remember more of that than I do. I only remember barely.
And that was it. And you said, "This is it."
I said this is it when I got out. So again,
like, this is it. I feel it.
Stepped on the earth, and I was like, this is it.
Which, again, and to be a little woo-woo, which is not my typical style, everyone who comes on the ranch says the same thing.
Says the same thing.
Like, there is a special energy of love. And I think you've created that. I mean, I think the land had it, but I think you created it. And I think when you're building something like this, you have to have that energy factor. I
agree with you. Like, the property has to feel good, and that sounds weird, but we looked at a lot of properties. We even flew to Hawaii and considered doing it in Hawaii, and we looked at a lot of properties. And there were some that would have been easier, that already had water, say, like that had a well, because our property that we bought, not only did it not have roads, it had no water, no power, no structures. It had nothing. No gates, nothing, and shitty fencing. And that doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you have 46 acres and you have to keep animals inside,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Expensive deal.
Yeah. And so we looked at other properties that would have been easier. They were smaller. They had water. There was just different things, but none of them.
Or they were cleared already, which is too cleared for us.
Too cleared. None of them, when I stepped on them, was like, this is it. It was more like, yeah, we can make that work. And this one, when I stepped on it, even though I could only see, he's making it sound like you could see more. I remember it as like we could drive into the gate, which wasn't a real gate, but we could drive into it and park and then kind of walk a tiny little trail. But it was a fraction compared to the 46 acres. And it was like, but I immediately knew when I got out of the vehicle and stepped on the ground, I was like, oh man, this is it. And it was the most expensive one we looked at, of course. Oh. And so I'm like, shit, this is it. This is it. We got to make this work.
Wow. And so then we started building, and it's funny, what we thought we were going to build and what we've built is significantly different.
Very.
You know, we started out with we had the store built first because we were living on it in a motorhome for a few months while our house was being built, and then we were thinking campers and tents, and then one thing as things started to elevate. Is like, okay, now the tents, we don't even use them. We use them for
they're
common
gonna be torn
area.
down soon too.
Yeah, and now it's yurts and cabins,
vintage trailers and wagons,
vintage trailers,
and cabins and bunkhouse and
so we changed a lot, right? And then the one thing you don't think about is all the underground plumbing and electricity,
infrastructure.
And the infrastructure is absolutely imperative. And so, if you're going to do something on your ranch, there's some things you got to keep in mind. One is if you're digging a trench, it's cheaper to put a second pipe in a trench than one. And so, we have what's called the Shannon pipe. Anytime we build in an area, we put an extra pipe in the ground because Shannon's going to come around in about 6 months, go, you know what? And then what usually follows, what is another building.
Yeah.
Like, for example, right now we're getting ready to break ground on the office podcast studio.
Yeah, we just created the pad for it, and it already, thank goodness, has power, electricity, and septic.
Because it was the Shannon spot. We put it in the power, we put it in the septic, and we needed to put in a temporary spot for a trailer. And Josh and I are like, you know what? Let's go ahead and she's going to build a building here. We know she is. So we ran 100 amp servers to it. We did and then voila, a year later, you know what?
Yeah. So now we're in the process. We've already designed it. Now we're going to be in the process of starting it. And it's going to be an office, 2 offices, one for Nathan and one for me, a co-working space, and then a podcast studio. And the podcast studio, obviously I'll be using it, but it'll also be available for rent for anybody in the area because there's nothing out where we are in the Marble Falls area. There's absolutely nothing out there. So yeah, so the infrastructure, the logistics, that goes to what I think one of our biggest mistakes was that we made at the very beginning was I don't think any of us planned big enough each time. And what I mean is even the dining hall is too small at this point. Which
is crazy.
I know.
When we built it, we never thought that'd be a problem.
What I didn't do was work backwards. In other words, I didn't say, okay, my maximum number of people is going to be this, and now build everything from there. I think originally it was oh yeah, we'll have 15 people or whatever may be the case. And, now we sleep up to 32. The dining hall can sleep or sit 32, but you're in there, it's a little tight, and the storage was a problem, and we needed an extra stove, and we needed all these different things, and it's even 15 to 20 people. It was oh gosh, this kitchen's not big enough. And
and we built it bigger now, right? We built on a pantry on the side of it.
We built a huge pantry on the side of it.
We got now 2 full, we're building it bigger.
We restructured everything. And so everything now works, but there's no way we could go bigger.
We have an outdoor dining table that sits 1,000 people.
Or 30, but yes. So it's almost think of what your end goal, if you can, which you may not be able to because you won't even know until it unfolds, but think of what that end goal is and then work backwards. So, some people can't, and we didn't, some people can't just build everything out at once. You might have to do it in pieces, right? No. And so, but you still want to think of your end goal. And that goes to it sounds silly, but parking. You have to determine where's your parking going to be, where's your storage going to be. Those are the 2 things that we just did not consider when we were first building.
Storage is a big one. Storage,
holy shitballs. You just don't realize all the things that you're going to need to put in storage and rotate out and based on seasons and pull these things down and put this out and, and just storage. Because the other thing is, as a business, when you're buying things that sound silly, but toilet paper or cleaning supplies or having extra sets of sheets and extra towels and all of these things.
Or 3 extra sets of sheets.
You're having to buy in bulk for a lot of it. And where are you putting it? You got to think of storage.
And extra bathrobes.
Yes, definitely the bathrobes. Did anybody tell you how much they love the bathrobes this past
weekend? They all
weekend?
love the fancy bathrobes.
Yes. This is a funny story. I'm sure I've shared it probably at some point on the podcast, but I'm always how can I elevate my guest experience? And not just my guests, because I only host at the ranch twice a year.
That's another comment we need to talk about too, but keep going.
It's for any guest that comes to the ranch. And I'm always thinking, how can I elevate their experience? How can I, when they come, how do they feel loved and supported and safe and excited and et cetera? And so I don't know, one day I was like, you know what? We don't have robes. Our guests have to have robes. And some of it's because I went somewhere and I experienced something. And so I'm we're getting branded robes, and we're getting these really lush, plush branded robes. Not that cotton weaved waffle bullshit that's at, Holiday Inn or Embassy Suites. We're getting the really nice ones. And so the first thing out of Nathan's mouth, we don't need to get robes. They don't need robes.
It's glamping.
And then he kept going. It's not glamping, by the way. It's even more than glamping, but he kept going. And then when they came in, he's like, oh my God, how much were those? How much are those robes? And he just kept going with it.
I don't know if I had that tone.
Oh, you absolutely had that tone. And so it just kept going. And so then, this is now 4 years ago.
At least.
Every single time the ranch is booked, and I mean, this is almost every weekend that we're booked, there's somebody that will say, I just love these robes.
And we sell out of them all the time.
I just love these robes. And so what do? You should go tell Nathan
All the
how
time.
much you love the robes.
It's like America's favorite pastime.
It is, because he's done that several times with just things. I'm like, oh, you know what we need is this. No, we don't need that. And
You
I'm
make
like,
it sound like I'm wrong all the time.
If it was up to Nathan, the guests would show up with their own sleeping bag and their own
Genius.
towels.
Genius. It's called the camping instead of fancy. Listen, I know you say, okay, so I have to explain this to people. Like, it's a ranch, and it's glamping plus glamour. Like, it's above and beyond.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is I don't want to take away the outdoor aspect of what we do.
Oh no, yeah.
Like the
it's interwoven with nature.
It's
for
awesome.
sure.
But inside, even the covered wagon.
Yeah. Yeah. The decor,
Like,
everything
it's
is
crazy. And then I tell people all the time, I said, listen, and this was probably won't ring with you like it's supposed to, but I'm like, we have makeup rags. Who has makeup rag? There's a makeup rag in every bathroom.
No, there's more than one, because how many people can
several.
sleep, and that's how many makeup rags there has to be.
And so,
Yeah.
and it says makeup on it.
But other than robes, what is the other thing that guests say? Every single guest say that it's all in the
About me?
details.
Oh, yes.
It's the
love your details.
details that we have on this ranch to make sure that you are comfortable and that you have this elevated experience, even though we're set in nature, is so important to me.
Now,
so anyway,
listen,
we're going off track here.
I give you kudos all the time. All the little things you do, though, so I'm like, what? Everyone loves, and that's why we book up so well. And
that's why we have a perfect 5-star rating.
We do.
as well. Yes.
And one of the things we did too initially, and this is I think what really sets us apart from other people who try and build something on their land and rent it out. I don't want to just say retreats.
Right.
Is they do individuals, and we are a retreat facility.
We
knew our identity. We built it for you to do your retreats.
Yeah.
And now, what, 80% of our
90% of the bookings are not me.
90% of the bookings are not you, and 80% of the revenue is not you.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you have this facility, and because you use it for you, you have that high standard. So when people come in, they go, holy cow.
Yeah.
So we didn't build it for a low standard. You built it for your standards, which is extremely high.
I built it for a place that I would want to stay at. And I'm a little bit bougie. And so we have bamboo sheets on the beds. And
did you say a little bit?
Yes. And everything is top notch. But it's also set in, an antique trailer or a covered wagon or whatever. And then like a lot of the accommodations, they actually have antiques in them. Because I go to the antique show here in Texas. All of the shows I go and I get ideas from there. I get pieces that then I'll build the whole decor around a piece. I get antique doors. Anyway, and so, it's a very elevated experience. But that goes into when you're thinking about your space and you're thinking about building it out or you're thinking about doing what you need to do to have retreats there. You have to think about the guest that you're catering to.
Oh.
For me, I'm thinking about me. I am the guest. I built this place because I would want to stay here. If you are building, and I have had many people contact me say, well, I'm really building this for the true camper, right? The true connect. There's no actual power. Maybe it's solar or wind, and that's spotty. Maybe it's really you're taking a shit in the woods, whatever it is. Then you plan to that, right? But you can't build that and then think you're going to market it to me. Like you have to know who your ideal guest is for your space and you build to that, even if it means you start small. Because when we opened, our very first retreat, by the way, was May 21st, 2021. So this month, we're recording in May. This probably won't come out in May though, but we're hitting our 5-year anniversary of being open. And it was Kim DeMoss, who's our now executive assistant and retreat coordinator. It was her retreat. She was the first retreat there. And all we had when we opened was the store, the dining hall, Moon Dancer, which is a vintage trailer, 2 tents, and that's it.
That's it.
And the yoga deck.
And by the way,
and that's it. That's all we had when we opened.
And when we did this, we only had the bathrooms in the dining hall.
Yeah, there were no other bathrooms. None, not even Moon Dancer did not have a bathroom. So you could sleep, technically at that time, you could sleep 3 in Moon Dancer. You could sleep 4 in each tent, so that's 8. So you had, 11 that you could sleep. And then she did let people bring their own tents, which we don't do that anymore. We don't allow people to bring their own tents to the property. And so she had I think she ended up with 15 people, all using 2 bathrooms in the dining hall.
Yeah, we even had hooks on there and everything. Which, by the way, it's again going back to I think you brought up a very good point. I want to make sure we touch on about building it for your audience and marketing to your audience for that. If you try and build it for everyone, you'll build it for no one.
Yep, it's just like marketing.
And that's what we learned as we did. Like every accommodation has a bathroom now.
Every accommodation has a bathroom.
And now, even when we build new accommodations, we even take it to the next step where you don't have to walk outside to get to the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Or off the deck.
Yeah.
Because you can't, we don't want a bathroom in a yurt.
Yeah. No.
But you don't leave the deck.
Yeah. 4 of our 10 accommodations do not have indoor bathrooms. It's attached. So as soon as you open your door, it's right there as your bathroom. But it's not inside so both yurts and both vintage trailers do not. Everything else does have indoor bathroom. But even when we opened, so I still knew who my guest was. It was still me. Yeah. Even when we opened, everything was still elevated. We have really nice mattresses, really nice sheets. The bathrooms are fully
rugs in the tents.
Rugs. Everywhere. And when we say tents, we do mean tents. But it had 4 twin beds, each with their own nightstand, each with their own nightlight,
AC and heating.
AC and heating, everything is there. And so anyway, my point is if you can't create this experience that you're wanting to create full scale right away, you can baby step it. We baby stepped everything. It's been 5 years and we're still building. We're still improving. We're still adding. We're still growing. And so just starting with that end result and then working backwards where you can. But yeah, now every single one, I think it was by the 6 months, I was like, okay, we can't do this 2-bathroom shit anymore. This is not going to.
Now we have more bathrooms in the state park.
Oh my gosh. We technically have, there's 3 just between the store and the dining hall, and then 10 for other accommodations, that's 13. 2 at the yoga deck, that's 15. And then if you count the horse barn, we have 16 bathrooms, and it's crazy. Yeah. 17, because there's actually 2 in the bunkhouse.
There are 2 in the bunkhouse,
17 bathrooms.
We have more
now.
bathrooms in the state park.
We have a lot of bathrooms, which is great. And so nobody ever says anything about bathrooms anymore.
And then we'll put another one in the office.
Well, yeah, there'll definitely be a bathroom inside the office space that we're building for sure.
And we are definitely set up for a retreat audience because of the way with the what's the new name of the bunkhouse?
The Hive.
The Hive. What a great name.
Yeah, it's the Hive. It's slumber party energy instead of the bunkhouse.
Yeah, I love that.
Me too.
The Hive. So because it's group setting, it's great for family gatherings, right? And so we like that because we're big into that.
Yeah. That brings up a thing, though, that you're talking to. When people ask us how they can do more retreats at their property or if they can, I will tell you this. If you're listening and you're like, I'd like my second home to host retreats, it is very difficult to market to 2 different audiences. We don't allow individual bookings now. When we opened, we did just to get people in the door. Mm-hmm. So if you've already been doing that, that's fine. But if you decide you want to do group bookings, retreats, women's gatherings, birthday gatherings, whatever, retreats is still its own entity even within that genre. We don't advertise to anything but retreats. Nothing. So our whole messaging, everything is there. And that to me is why we're 90% booked. Yeah. And not just 90% booked, but we're booked at least a year in advance, and in many cases, a year and a half to 2 years if it's our prime dates. And it's because our message is simple. We are a retreat space. We have a labyrinth. We have meditation spots throughout the ranch. We have just things that are set up for a retreat environment. And so that is our thing. Do we have people contact? We have a couple weddings booked already this year. We've got, we've had bachelorette parties and we've had other things, and those end up being filler things, but they come to us and we say, we do it. It's not our thing, but you can, By the way, I don't love weddings. Sorry if you're listening and you're having a wedding at my place.
It's like anything else. You market to one thing. That doesn't mean you don't get business on others.
Yeah.
But we market to retreats. Now we do corporate events as well.
Yes.
But even that we talked about, we we don't book a lot during the week.
Yeah.
And so to do that, we have to again, expand the business model to more smaller
We're talking about adding another
a
row of individual accommodations that are much smaller for the weekday bookings. Our weekends, which, I mean, it's still Thursday through Sundays, are consistently booked all throughout the year. But that Monday, Tuesday spot, we absolutely could fill with corporate groups.
And for you and I, that we have to look at is like, okay, if you look at our calendar, quite candidly, it'd be difficult to book a lot of weeks because, to your point, they check in on Thursday, they leave on Sunday. You got to flip the property on Monday.
Yeah,
like it's
tight. So
like
the weekday
you almost
got to
kind of commit.
Yeah, the weekday bookings are tough. So our venue's different. We can't flip it as fast as your typical, for sure not like a hotel. And it's not the cleaning, like the beds and the dining hall and all that. That's not it. It's the whole facility. So, we have to, many times we have to drain our pools. We have to drain hot tubs. We have to clean things out. We have to clean up the yoga deck. We have to clean up, like there's just so many, it's so huge.
It's a resort.
And so we have to go through and make sure it's all beautiful and ready for the next group, not just getting leftovers of what the group left over from before. And so it typically requires a 12-hour flip minimum. What that means is one group checks out at noon on Sunday. We can barely get you in at noon on Monday. Barely.
Tough one.
It's tough. And most of the time I can get you in on Monday, but you're probably not going to be in there until 4 p.m. just to make sure. I don't want you showing up at that next booking feeling like you got gypped or that we've rushed to put the place back together for you. A lot of times furniture has to be moved. Like there's just things. And so it's not that easy to do the weekday bookings on top of it. But we can do it. But then we learned, okay, to fill these spots, which is significant when you really add it up, it's 2 days a week that we could book. And we have, and it is hard, but we have. But if we want to do that and to appeal to that audience, we do. So this is the things you think about, right? So you run the numbers. It's like, okay, if we book these 2 days per week, and say we did the same type of percentage, so you're looking at 85 to 90%, how much is that? And then how much is it going to cost us to build these individual cabins to do that? And when do we break even? And so you just run the numbers. And we ran the numbers and we know it does make sense. And so we are probably going to book or build a handful after we build our offices. We have to piecemeal it. We're just like anything else. It's like, what is the most important need right now? And it's not the weekday bookings at this moment. That's just an opportunity for us. That's not a need, I would say.
Yeah, no. Well, again, it's like anything else. Every year we do our business plans, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what's going to be our growth strategy this year?
Yep.
And that's just kind of where the office and the podcast studio came into play.
Yeah.
We're expanding the barn. We're putting in a new barn for 2 more horses. And so those are the kinds of things. And you and I look at, hey, what does this look like in the future? Because I compare it to like a amusement park. You got to add a ride every year.
I'm so glad you said that because it's fun when we have a lot of hosts who book every year.
And what's their first question?
And some people more than one a year is, what else have you built?
Yeah, what's new?
Yeah, what's new? and truth be told, the only new thing we added the art barn.
The art barn?
The art barn, which is huge. It's got pottery wheels and a kiln and all of that kind of stuff. But since then, we've did a pond, which I love. But we haven't built anything like really exciting since then. So it's almost like, oh my gosh. And we're going to build this office podcast, but that's really not a guest experience so much as it's for us. And hosts can use it when they're
can you imagine though doing a host who now can do a podcast
while they're there?
Yeah,
while they're there at the ranch.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But then after that, the other things we do have in the future. So this is what you do, right? Every year you analyze.
It's nonstop.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so then the next one will be a couple of individuals to try to get the weekday. We're not going to let our sleeping capacity go up, though, because of the dining hall. The dining hall is what it is. It's 32. But this way, instead of it being 10 accommodations sleeping 32, it might be 15 accommodations sleeping 32.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
Where the Beehive books out great for a retreat.
It doesn't so much for corporate.
A corporate event, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
And so now you got, to your point, you still got the same amount of people, but you're catering to a different audience.
Yeah.
And then, so you got the individual cabins coming in. That's our next. And then the infamous Shannon game room.
Yeah. So one of my big ones, and I know the hosts.
And she means big ones, like it's a project.
The hosts who have been there will really appreciate this. Right now, if there's weather, and you can't really do, say, your yoga meditation or your thing out on our yoga deck, which is huge and comfortably you can seat 60 to 75 out there, but on mats, absolutely could do 40, 50 people if you wanted. Anyway, if it's really bad weather, the only place to do it is 1860. And 1860, really, you could push about 22 mats, and that's about it. So you'd have to break up your class in 2 groups if you had more than that. And so my goal is where, if you've been at the ranch, there is an outdoor bar, and there's also the first tent. Tearing all that down and putting a multi-use space there. We'll have an indoor bar. And
Notice the bar stays.
Of course it does. It'll have an indoor bar, but it'll have roll-up garage doors, clear garage doors, so that it could still be inside, outside if you wanted it to be. But it can be our backup space for indoor needs and for meetings. Nathan's done some corporate events out there. I've done corporate events. And 1860 is great, but this will give us more space to be able to spread out.
We could even take that all the way to tent 2.
Yeah, it can be.
And then make it a game room.
Well, that's the plan, is movable stuff.
Kind of like Horseshoe Bay did with the shooting club.
Yeah, that's really great how they did that.
And then you got the meeting space, you got a game room.
Sitting area, community area, reading area.
And you could, it's just open space that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you can see a pool table in there. I know that probably doesn't cater to the retreat world.
The pool table I probably wouldn't, just because you can't move it easily, but you could have ping pong.
That would be hard to move.
Yeah, you could have ping pong table though in there, and you could have a poker table, like just things that could be movable, and a reading area. And so anyway, so that's our big one. Realistically, it's not till 2028 that we'll even be able to start building that, just because we have to finish this other building that we're doing.
The horse barn, the podcast building, cabins.
We've just got some things on the horizon, but that is coming in 2028. And that feeds into the corporate growth expansion. So you build the little cabins, and then you'll have this bigger space so that you can have very comfortably 30 to 35 people in that meeting space, and sleep them where they're not 8 people in an accommodation. So,
and I'll tell you what helps us is you and I have two different roles. Like I still tell people all the time when before we had the swimming pools, and it literally was woods, like trees,
just trees,
just solid trees. And I'm walking there, and Shannon looks at me and goes, "Do you know what I see here?" I'm like, "Trees." She goes, "Nope. I see a pool and a hot tub and ice bath," which I didn't even know what an ice bath was.
No, I didn't even see the ice bath or the sauna at
just
the time.
Just the pool.
Pools and the hot tub.
I'm like, I see trees. And literally in weeks, we cleared out that area. We went and got turf. We you found this
Pictures
cowboy
on Pinterest.
pool concept idea.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you want decks all around it. And then you want a hot tub.
Well, it's funny because if you
and
think
then
about
now
it,
look at now, it's like,
again, it's stepping, right? Or stepstones. So we first put just the 2 cowboy pools, and a deck and seating area. And then it was like, oh, we really need a hot tub. And the way we learned with these cowboy pools, which we just like the concept, it matches the ranch, is to do a hot tub, you have to really insulate the entire thing. Like it was a whole thing, and it was going to look ugly. So we're like, we're going to have to do this whole thing. So we had to build this whole big old deck for the hot tub. So now we got 2 pools and a hot tub. Then it was like, hey, you found the sauna on Facebook Marketplace.
I did.
There was
wood-burning sauna.
There was this commune down here in Austin, and they called themselves a commune. And sadly, the owner had literally sold the property like out from under them. They were all having to move in different places, and they had this wood-burning sauna that they were using for storage. So it needed a little TLC. And Nathan, and this doesn't happen very often. What I mean is him saying, hey, we should go spend this money. But he literally was like, this would be really cool at the ranch. And I was shocked because I'm like, you're absolutely right. That would be so cool. And so we went down.
Took 2 trailers and a skid steer.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about how we got it from downtown Austin up to Marble Falls legally.
That's awesome.
It definitely was not illegal transport. And so then we get it to the ranch, fix it up, clean it up, and it's one of the...
They love it.
It's a fun piece.
It gets hot.
It gets really hot. And then we added the ice baths. And then one day I was like, we really need a 3rd cowboy pool. Yeah. Which means we had to redo all the decks and everything.
Let's be clear. We tore everything down to pieces and rebuilt from the ground up.
Yep.
And I say we, Josh.
Yes, Josh. Amazing, Josh. And so now we have 3 cowboy pools, a hot tub, sauna, ice baths, and a nice lounge sitting area that everybody can enjoy. And then we just recently upgraded the pools and put these really pretty liners in all of the pools, because they're cowboy pools. If you don't know what that is, they're stock tanks that are made for livestock, the biggest ones that they sell. And they're steel. They don't rust. Well, that's true unless you put chlorine in the pools, which we absolutely chlorinate our pools. And so we were finding that they were looking really rough. After a good 2 years, the pools were starting. We've already replaced them.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. And so we found Nathan. Once again, Nathan found these really great, beautiful liners. And it's funny because he's like, there's this one, and then there's the more expensive one. And I'm like, oh, the more expensive one is so much prettier. And so he loves it. I don't know why he asks me, because he's hoping I'll say the cheaper one.
I don't either.
Well,
because going wrong is a lot more expensive than going right.
Yes, it is. So we just put those liners in. The pools look beautiful with the liners in them. And so, so everything's been stair-stepping. I think, like I said, the biggest mistake we made was a lot of the things we built too small. We didn't think about parking and the infrastructure and just pipes underneath the ground, all the non-sexy stuff, the storage. Like you really want to plan for those things as you're building. No matter where you're starting, you want to plan for those things. And you want to plan for what a group needs. So if you are wanting to do retreats, you got to think of what a retreat needs. Most of them need a movement space, whether it's yoga, meditation, whatever. Most retreats have some sort of movement function. So you want to have a movement space. You want to have the ability for a chef to cook, big meals in your space. And so you just have to think of all the logistics that go into a retreat. And then your goal is to make your space friendly for those needs so that it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
A lot of times that means also having certain supplies that you normally wouldn't have, whether it's yoga mats or, yoga props or whatever may be the case. And so just having certain things on site that make it conducive for the types of things that you're doing. Now, if you're not building a space that's going to have any kind of, you just want to do corporate groups, maybe. But I'll be honest, some of our corporate groups want yoga too.
Well, all the corporate events typically have some type of team activity.
Yeah.
And so, one thing that someone did on our property, which was a great idea, was a scavenger hunt.
Oh, that was
so
fun.
What a great property for a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, that was so fun.
But I'll tell you, if you're going to do this, be impatiently patient. And because I think you say, let's go do it, and then know that it's going to take longer than you thought.
Always.
And
everything takes longer.
And it's going to be smaller than you want. It's never going to be big enough.
Never going to be big enough.
But I think what helps us is you see it, you demand it, I build it.
Yeah.
Or work with Josh to build it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, because half the stuff you say, like the pool thing, I'm like, this woman has lost her ever living mind.
And that's the most popular place for people to relax.
It's the coolest place. And then you did the ice bath, and you're like, find me an ice machine. I'm like, we're not 7-Eleven. And you're like, I need an ice machine. And so we got an ice machine, and it.
Ice storage, yes.
Yeah. Well, if you ever, when she says ice storage, when you go to a gas station and you buy a bag of ice and you open it up the doors, you got
giant ones.
We have that at the ranch,
which I really needed, and I'm so glad. Yeah, absolutely. You want to just you picture your end result and you work towards that. I mean, you take it piece by piece, and that's what you do. But you have to make sure that that's what you want to do. Is you want to go into the retreat space. And not just as an afterthought, because you just won't attract the people that you're trying to attract if that's the case.
And you want someone who's going to love your land as much as you do.
Yeah, that's a good point. No matter what, no matter if it's your primary residence or your secondary property or whatever it is, you want to make sure that the people that are going to come do it. The last thing I'll probably leave you with is
I got one more for you.
Okay. What makes you different?
Okay.
So you got to be a little unique to stand out in the retreat space. I think one of the biggest ones, a few. One is our horse energy. So whether you actually add on a horse activity or not, we have free-ranging horses. They literally come up to you while you're drinking coffee on your porch. And you're not going to find that anywhere else. And
No.
so not in the retreat space. And so our horse energy, but you can add on horseback rides and you can add on horse yoga. And so you can add on, horse therapy type of programs, mindfulness with horses. Like there's just a lot of different things that we can do with our amazing herd of horses. And so our horse energy. The other thing is just, but you typically won't know this, the pictures will not do this, but it'll make you come back, is the attention to details in our team. Like, you will not find another team that will outserve the way our team does.
No
Between
way.
Josh and Lily and Jonna and Kim and just
And Nathan.
Everybody is just amazing, and they so almost desperately want to make sure that your event is amazing. And so you just won't find those things everywhere else. So I would say that that's the bulk of it, is what that makes us unique. And then too, like I'll have hosts, and if it's reasonable, I absolutely make it happen. I had a host that was doing her corporate event there, and we had a smaller whiteboard, and she's like, is there a way I can have a big one shipped? And I'm like, you know what? I'll get you one. So we ordered a big whiteboard now that we just have on site for them. And another one was like, I really want to do karaoke night. Do you know anybody who rents karaoke machines? And I'm like, you know what? I'll buy a karaoke machine and I'll have it here for anybody else who needs it. And so that's the other thing, is if you let us know what you need to make your retreat amazing, 9 times out of 10, I'll make it happen for you, or our team will, no matter what. And if it's that 1/10 of a time, it's just because I physically don't have anywhere to store it, if I'm being honest. Like, if you remember that corporate group that rented those giant inflatables.
Oh, yeah.
It was incredible. That was just like incredible. Obviously, I can't do that. I just wouldn't have anywhere to store it. But anyway, so I think those are the things that make us different.
Yeah. I think I agree with you on the horse thing. Like, free range of horses all over the ranch is nuts.
Yeah.
And we love it. Like, they're in our backyard. They're at the people coffee. I think that's a good one. I think the whole idea about the service, I mean, I think of, I don't know if you remember when we first opened and someone was there, and it was during the World Cup, and they wanted TV, and Josh literally took the TV out of his house.
He brought the TV out of his own house for them, because we didn't have any TVs
Back then,
anywhere.
no.
We have one now in 1860, and that's it. But
that's-
we haven't. That was, you're
Yeah,
right.
he took it out of his house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where'd you, he goes, it's my house. I'm working. I don't need it. But that's the mentality that I think they've gotten, that the team has. I think it's a lot to do with this. That's the mentality of who you are as a person, selfless. And so I think everybody lives that. Here's what I will tell you I think differentiates us. And I've heard it from almost every one of your guests, and then guests that have their own events. And they say, I literally can feel the love on the land. Like I can feel the love and the attention that y'all give the land, and I feel it. And again, I'm not the woo-woo guy, but I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and I think that's something that you've created, and the team creates the engagement. You know, we say all the time, service is what you do. Hospitality is the impact we have on people.
It's how we make them feel.
And I think that is what I think everybody loves to say great customer service separates them, but I think the energy, the love, and the uniqueness and the differences and the little things you put in place.
Yeah.
And my challenge, and the reason I share that with you, is not to brag about Retreat Ranch and Shannon, although it doesn't hurt. But I think that's what you have to figure out what is yours.
Yeah.
What is your detail? What's your love? What's your, I don't want to say your differentiator, because I think it's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
It's got to be uniquely you and what you and your retreat area will provide people.
I love that. And we do have to give a special shout out to Josh. Josh and Robin, they are family as far as Nathan and I are concerned. They are absolutely our family.
He literally calls himself my oldest son.
Yeah.
I get a Father's Day card from him.
They are part of our family at every holiday, every experience, birthdays, all of that. They live on the property, and when you come to the ranch, you will absolutely feel the love and attention from Josh. He will almost kill himself to make sure that your event is everything you want it to be, and he will find a way to make that happen. If it was up to him, he'd make the weather even be what you want it to be. Like, that's just how amazing of a human he is and how hardworking he is. It's hard for us to get him to not work. Many people are like, gosh, does he work 6 days, 7 days? If we could get him to take time off, we would do that. We try to force him to do that, but he really loves what he does, and I think people feel that too.
Yeah.
And of course, his wife, Robin, is amazing. She's in charge of our housekeeping, but also our herd of horses. And she's our main wrangler, and she's just amazing. And
She just took Junior to the vet?
I know, big old Junior she took to the vet. So we are incredibly blessed with a team that includes Josh and Robin, as well as Lily and Kim. And Jonna's new to the team, and she's already
awesome.
an integral part of the ranch family. So I think, just making sure that you also have these superstars. And you won't always, we've been really lucky since we opened the ranch, but just the nature of business, it won't always go exactly that way, but you'll know right away.
You do realize how, I know we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
But you do realize how crazy this is. Like literally 7 years ago, we're talking about, what we need to do is buy some land and have a retreat and do that ranch. And then here we are with a successful, awesome team.
Yeah.
And a business built off one of your crazy ideas.
I know, and I typically write them down on napkins.
Yeah.
I think I still have them. Nathan and I have built and sold many businesses, and many of the concepts started on napkins and just discussions. And most all of them come from our experience or our heart. The Retreat Ranch is truly a culmination of all of them. When you think about every business that we've owned, and it's a culmination of all of them in one space to some degree. And we love it, and it's an incredible business model. So if it's on your heart to turn your place into a ranch, a retreat center, or to buy one, to build one, whatever it is, we cannot recommend it enough as a business model for sure. The industry is exploding. It's exploding. We almost cannot keep up. And I truly mean that. And Lily's listening and probably absolutely agreeing with that.
Lily's like, no shit.
She cannot keep up. We cannot keep up with our bookings and inquiries so much so that we made her full-time and have to hire someone else.
But if you want to book it, go ahead.
Of course. But my point is the growth has been phenomenal and the industry is growing. And so is it a good business decision? Yes.
Absolutely.
But you want to make sure that you build it for your guest, whoever that is, your ideal guest. You want to make sure that you plan for bigger than what you're going to need, ideally. Plan the logistics and the infrastructure first, and think about what differentiates you. Why will your space be different? You really want to make sure that is the thing. And it could just be very simple, but why is it different? And why should I, as a retreat leader, book your space? Because that's really what you're selling is how am I going to how's my job going to be easier if I'm at your space as a retreat leader? And how are you going to help my guests feel what I want them to feel? So that would be it. Thank you. Thanks for coming on again, babe, and sharing your ultimate wisdom with everybody. Building this ranch has been fun. It's, if you could believe it, this month as we record, has been crazy. 5 years that we've been open, 6.5 that we bought the property, almost 7 years since we bought the property. And that's crazy. Crazy. Well, good luck, everyone. And we hope that you do build an incredible space for everybody to enjoy.
See you at home.
Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.